My worst gig. My worst gig was when I was 18 years old. I was teaching guitar. It's first job out of high school. And somehow, I don't really remember how, but I started attending a jam night, which is basically, on a Monday night at a local pub. Just the local people would go take their guitars down and whatever and get up and play some 12-bar blues for 12 minutes. And I don't remember exactly why or how, but I got asked to run the night, or at least help out with running the night. And so it was more or less my job to, bring some of the equipment down and talk to the people who wanted to get up, take people's names, and introduce them and things like that, I guess. And there was one guy who came down with his guitar, and he wanted to play All Along the Watchtower, the Jimi Hendrix version. And so it was agreed that I'd play bass for his thing, and there was a singer who knew the song, and he was going to sing it. Maybe that was the guitar player's friend, I can't remember now. So it was a drummer, a house drummer. I think Phil, I think his name was. He basically played the entire night unless there was a drummer who wanted to get up and play. Anyway, so we got up. Oh, and he also said, "Can I use your amp to play?" And I said, "Sure, no problem at all. That's what it's there for." So we got up and we played the song. And All Along the Watchtower basically has a guitar solo after every verse. So when this guy would play guitar solos, I would just turn my amp up because I didn't have my foot switch to change channels to boost the level for when you play guitar solo. Does that make sense? So with a standard amp, you have like a rhythm sound and a lead sound, and you switch between them for when you take solos. So I didn't have that with me. So basically I was playing bass, and I would just lean over and turn the amp up when he would play a solo, and turn it back down again when he would play rhythm, when the singer would sing the verses. And so we did that, and it was pretty average for me. I can't actually really remember if it was good or not. I think it was just an average sounding thing. But we got off stage, and this guitar player comes up to me, and he says, "What the hell were you doing?" And I said, what do you mean? And he's like, "You were like trying to sabotage my sound. I saw you playing with my amp, with your amp, with the amp, I guess." And I said, I wasn't. I was just trying to, boost the level, just turning the master up when you play a solo, and then turn it back down again for when the singer would sing the verse." And he was like, "Nah," and he just kind of snapped, and he just started getting real aggressive, started like pointing into my shoulder, and was like, "Let's take this outside." He just was basically wanting to kind of fight me. Basically, he thought I had some sort of problem with him. And the drummer stepped in. He literally stood in between us, and he said to the kid, "Get out." And this guy, the drummer, was a little bit older. I was 18. I don't know. This other guy seemed about maybe the same age, maybe a few years older. And the old guy sort of stepped in, and he was like, "Get out, or I'm going to get security to get you out," basically. And this guy walked out of the venue, sort of pointing at me, saying, "This isn't over," or whatever. And sure enough, like the next day, it must have been. That was a Monday night, so it was the next Tuesday. I used to teach at the back of a music shop, and he came into the store and asked for me specifically, and he's like, "Come on, I want to sort this thing out that happened last night. Let's go out on the street." It's basically, let's go out on the street and just fight it out. And I was like, actually, it was quite confronting, and I was, I guess I was quite just kind of not necessarily frightened, but kind of a bit shaken, I guess, because I didn't really know how to diffuse the situation. All I knew was I was definitely not going to fight the guy. You know, I need these hands to play guitar. It's one of the few things that I can do. So I wasn't going to risk hurting my hands. So basically the store, like the guy that ran the shop, the music shop, basically said the same thing as the drummer did the previous night. He said, "You have to get out now or I'm going to have to call the cops." And this guy had his brother with him, and his brother was like going, you know what you've done, and it was, just have a think about what you're doing. And I was like, man, all I was doing was just trying to help. Anyway, I saw his brother again maybe a few months later at a club or at a pub or something, and it was almost like he had forgotten what had happened. And I said I had a brief conversation with him. It was kind of strange. And then a few months later, I was on a train, and that guitar player got on the train, but he just kind of looked sort of straight through me, like he didn't even recognize me. So that was probably the dumbest gig I've ever done.